From American Canyon, it's high school varsity football as the Petaluma Trojans take on the American Canyon Wolves in the Vine Valley Athletic League opener.
Touchdown, Trojan!
Unbelievable! And a very good evening. I am Griffin Epstein. It is a historic evening tonight as American Canyon and Petaluma do battle in the first Vine Valley Athletic League football game ever. 50 straight years for Petaluma in the Sonoma County League, but that changes this year, and this is the league opener for both teams. A lot of excitement here in American Canyon. The Trojans have made the long road trip to face the Wolves. The league record, the records coming in for both teams a little bit deceiving. American Canyon 0-4 on the season, but they are hungry for a win, mainly because they had a very challenging non-league schedule. They faced some of the top teams in the whole state, and it will be a little bit of a step down for competition against a very confident Petaluma team coming in 3-1. A very successful non-league start for them, including an impressive win over El Molino last week where they put up 56 points. Both teams have very similar styles. You're going to see old-fashioned football here tonight. It should be a tight one between two very even teams as the race for the Vine Valley Athletic League title starts tonight. History on the field, and we've got the full game with play-by-play and more starting right now on Trojan Live. And we welcome you up top Wolves Stadium here. It is a glorious stadium on the southeastern corner of American Canyon. Captains have just met at midfield. Trojans defer into the second half, and we should have a great ball game here tonight. The first time either of these two teams have faced each other. However, a big storyline coming into this one. The Trojans will not have their best player out on the field in Garrett Freitas. Tweaked his ankle last week against El Molino. They took him out pretty much as a precaution. After the first quarter, we thought he would be all right, but they have ruled him out of this game, and they're hoping he'll be back against Justin Sienna, but we will see. You can see the band marching out for American Canyon. Lots of pomp and circumstance. This high school's only been around since 2010. We'll have kickoff coming up next. The Trojans 3-1, American Canyon 0-4, but both coaches saying both teams are 0-0 because it's the league opener, and both teams have hopes of doing something special here in the Vine Valley League. All right, we just had a wonderful rendition of the national anthem here in American Canyon by the American Canyon Marching Band, all decked out, and this place is nearly packed. It is a great atmosphere. Also, just want to, excuse me, Christian, just get a look at the field. Sorry, the view behind me is absolutely gorgeous. The sunset over the San Pablo Bay. The hills back towards Petaluma and Infinio and Raceway, or now Sonoma Raceway out there as well. But a lovely view behind me. However, the focus will be on the football field tonight. American Canyon will get the ball first, and they are led by their star running back in Eddie Birdsong. He's really the only returner from a very strong American Canyon team last year that really contributed to the team. He had 600 yards last year, and he's already over 300 yards for this year. Who's back to receive, Christian? Who's back to receive? You look on there. So Say back to receive. Trojans will have Daxton Hagia kick it away. We expect a lot of running. Both these teams grind it out. American Canyon only averaging 40 yards per game, and the Trojans only 63 yards per the air. But the Trojans coming off their best offensive performance with 55 points off Al Molino. Hagia, the senior, to kick it away for the Trojans. The Vine Valley American League our Athletic League is underway. That ball will go out of bounds. It'll be good starting field position for American Canyon. The historic kickoff there between Petaluma and the Wolves. American Canyon in black, Petaluma in white. And we will see how the Trojan defense, especially the defensive line, matches up against a very potent offensive attack for the Wolves. Birdsong, the senior captain, and he is really everything for this American Canyon offense. Vance Eschenberg is the is the quarterback, but you're going to see lots of handoffs. Eschenberg can run too, and you see that there as he picks up a 4-yard on the read pass option for a 4-yard gain. Birdsong, 5'11", 210 pounds. He is a challenge to be picked up. Pomey on the tackle, and he leads the Trojans in tackles coming into this one with 15 tackles. 2nd and 5. Cheerleaders and student section are right ahead of me, so it might be a little bit loud. There's the fake, and the Trojans are all over it. Jacob Howard with the tackle in the backfield. The toss to Birdsong, and the Trojans were waiting for it. They'll lose 6, and it'll be 3rd and long. That's exactly what you want to do against a team like American Canyon that does not want to pass the football. Eschenberg only comes in with 11 pass attempts. They're just going to grind it out on the ground. That's been an issue for them. One of the reasons they're 0 for 4. They played well against a good Wood team from Vacaville last year, but their offense stalled at points. They just couldn't pass the football. They're going to have to here against the Trojan secondary. It's improved. Nope, they're going to give it to Birdsong. Birdsong bouncing out. What a tackle made. Derek Pomey again. I'm sorry, it's Nick Ayers again at the 40 for the Trojans. Or that was Pomey wrestling him down on the jersey, and you saw the athleticism there of Birdsong, and the Trojans are 100% focused on him. American Canyon would be focused on Garrett Freitas, who comes in with over 400 yards on the season already in just 4 games. But we mentioned in the open the ankle sprain, keeping him out. But the Trojans have some other running backs that have provided some good depth. There is no one back to receive. I don't know why there for the Trojans, if that was miscommunication, but it's a good punt all the way down to the 14. American Canyon will down it there, and the Trojan offense will take back over.
Actually, Griffin, that was miscommunication there, because
Was not miscommunication, says Christian.
to me, at least, I'm not on varsity. I'm not 100% sure, but to me, that was a smart idea, because if someone was back there, it'd be completely guarded by all of the men down there. And not to be offended, but
I don't know what you're going to say, Christian, but I haven't, mentored you before you came on air and just put you on air. Christian Abramo, JV football player to my right, is going to be helping out tonight here in American Canyon.
yeah, we're not talking about tonight's game.
Up the middle, and a couple-yard gain.
Can I give a shout out on the video?
This isn't like a
I know, but can I still
a
give
game shout. A game show. We're not live either, Christian.
I know, but it's
You want to give a shout out to Abby Girardelli?
no, Andy Girardelli.
Oh, Andy Girardelli. He's a JV player, isn't he?
Only junior JV player. He's
Powers under center. It's Pomey in the backfield, and he takes the carry for a couple-yard gain.
that name out. No, okay.
Prieto, what a game he had against El Molino. 114 yards in that game against the Lions last Friday, and the Trojans' homecoming has 187 yards, but boy, did he break out. Really against Terra Linda. Derek Pomey went out with an injury. They gave it to Prieto. Workhorse back, he went for 60 in that game on over 10 carries. And he had a 90-yard run last Friday against El Molino. He's proven to be something. There did look to be some miscommunication or something there. Nowhere to go. So that's going to bring out the punt team. A 3rd and 2, and something went on in there with the handoff. But you can see the Trojans, similar to the Wolves, they're going to rush it up the middle, and without Freitas, they don't have that speed outside to, unfortunately, test a Wolves defense that has really, really struggled. Best effort by the Wolves was, again, last Friday against Wood. We have a whistle and flags, and
Just a personal opinion here.
believe a timeout was called by American Canyon. So American Canyon uses their first timeout. We have 8:06 left to go here in the first quarter. No score. Okay, All right, Christian, if you're just gonna make this an open mic night, I'm gonna have to say goodbye. If you'd like to provide analysis of the game, I'd be happy for you to join me. I don't normally have people join me on the road. The band really looks good. They got the dancers in front, kind of reminiscent of what you see in a lot of colleges. And the campus itself here, Christian, it is really nice looking. It's only 8 years old. Was started in 2010, so it hasn't been around too long, and it shows. Nick Ayers back to punt for the Trojans. It bounces at the 40, and the Trojans wrap them up there. Great special teams coverage. Ayers was in there. Havard again. And the Trojans right now flying to the ball early here against the Wolves, and they're showing a lot of energy, and it's definitely some adversity to be facing off against without your star running back Garrett Freitas, but there also has to be a lot of excitement about being in this Vine Valley Athletic League. Coach Chris called it the Big Boy League, and now they're among the big boys playing a team that's gonna talk. They're a little bit bigger, but Trojans might have the experience, the pedigree, and the tenacity. There's a blitz here, but Birdsong out wide. Look out. Another terrific tackle. Hartman is hurt, though, as he makes the tackle at the 45. I'm sorry, that's Gavriola, who's the... How do you say it? Kayave Gavriola. I'm not getting this last name right. A first down, but Hartman is down, which is concerning. He made another terrific tackle. But Gaviola, the junior 5'7", 165-pound running back, I saw it.
I'm not great with paying attention.
With the toss and the 15-yard pickup, but Hartman with a great effort to drag him down. But the backup quarterback and one of only 2 sophomores on the varsity team has played terrific, including a spectacular interception against Terra Linda. He gets up and runs off, so I think he's going to be all right. Might have just gotten the wind knocked out of him. He'll head back off to the sideline. It's a Trojan secondary that has improved a lot over the season, and especially from last year. Coach Chris, though, wasn't too happy with the effort against El Molino, giving up 31 points, but only give up 7 against Terra Linda and 7 against Montgomery. Really caused trouble, especially with the pass rush. There's a defensive line that can be dangerous. That time it's Birdsong. Gets a 6-yard pickup, and that's what American Canyon wants, just gashing it down the middle and helping American Canyon plug away. Defensive line, Nixon beat on Daniel DeCarly, anchor that, and it's kind of been up and down for them. Really good games against Montgomery and Terra Linda. Last week against El Molino, Sam Wilson-Metz went nuts for the Lions, and even though they were blown out, he had 4 touchdowns. And they really struggled against a good Santa Rosa team with J.V. Long. So when the stars have been out, they've had some issues, and that's what concerns you about Birdsong, as there he goes all the way down to the 18. That's not even Birdsong. They have a whole selection of running backs to go to. And they're finding some holes. Hagia on the tackle. 22 gain for the Wolves. I apologize for some focus issues. We'll try to fix that. 18 at the 18 for American Canyon, and they're threatening to strike first. They had not led in a football game until last week against Wood. It was brief. They were pretty thoroughly blown out in their first 3 games, though. It included Inkerdom, one of the top teams in the state in Sacramento, a loss against Amador Valley as well, and they opened with a loss against Deer Valley. All 3 of those, or all the other 2, very strong East Bay teams, and they were not really close. So they haven't played a lot of meaningful football until last week. That's a factor. A 3-yard gain there, and it's 2nd and 7, 6:13 remaining, and the Wolves threatening here in the first quarter. Sun setting. Town of about 15,000. About 20 minutes south of Napa, 10 minutes north of Vallejo. Birdsong wrapped up at the long. Pomey making action. The ball is out. Havard has it, and the Trojans recover the fumble. That has been a huge issue for American Canyon in terms of fumbles and turnovers, and Jacob Havard is having a game to remember. Early here in the first quarter, had a big tackle for a loss, and he comes out of the pile with the fumble as Birdsong lost it. It's the 4th turnover of the year for the Wolves, and something that their head coach mentioned after the last game against Wood, that they didn't have any turnovers, and he was happy with that. Not the case there. And the Trojans just go up the middle again. Not a lot of creativity so far with this rushing attack for the Trojans. It'll be interesting to see if the Trojans try to mix it up with the running backs and try someone that's a little bit more athletic out in the open field, Connor Pedersen or Dominic Butts. Pedersen's gotten some looks. He's number 13. He's to the left of Powers. He can provide some speed because the line is going to be hard yardage to get, and again, it's given out right. Pareto again, and again, there's nowhere to go. Maybe a yard. It's going to be 3rd and long, and Powers is going to have to air the ball out.
Real quick, my plan's kind of changed. I can only be here for...
You can go now if you want, Christian. It's fine.
I can be here for maybe 15.
So a 3rd and 9. 2 split out to the left, 1 to the right. Powers with the slant pass. I think it was tipped at the line. He was looking for Butts, but it never got to him. That pass out of the slot has worked for the Trojans a couple times, especially last week. Havard had a catch there. Freitas a couple catches out of the slot. But this is a defensive line for the Wolves that's very big. They're mean. They talk, as Coach Chris said. And so far you can see the issues. Trojans got the certainly key turnover, but unable to do anything with it or even move the ball down the field. And it's slow going for the offense early with 4:30 left to go in the first. Ayers with a big booming punt. A good one, and he stepped out of bounds. Good air on that for Ayers. About 45-yard punt. And the Wolves will still start in Trojan territory. Say with the catch there.
Also.
From the 46 for the Wolves, and they're going to pass here for the first time all game, and you maybe saw why they don't want to pass. Eschenberg throws it over the head over Tadlip, the wide receiver, running back out of the flat there for the Wolves. That's a secondary for the Trojans that has improved a lot. John Candow, Raiden Cristobal have really broken out. They had huge games against Montgomery. Freitas had 2 interceptions, but Pedersen really leads that secondary for the Trojans. The run-pass option, Eschenberg takes it, and he's wrestled down the ground for no gain. So 3rd and 9, again for the Wolves. And you expect to carry to Birdsong, and the Trojans so far, you can tell, they've been keying on him, and they've been ready. Only one big run for him. The give out to the right, cuts back. He's so shifty, but the Trojans aren't letting it get to him. Going backwards. Excellent defense by the Trojans there. Kenny Alexander in the backfield. Matt Salyers as well. And those are some young players for the Trojans that haven't done much. Holding as well. Trojans will decline. So the Wolves with good field position, but they're going to have to punt again. And this looks very much similar to the Terra Linda Montgomery games that we saw. This is going to be low scoring, grind it out. Who holds the most poise and who's smartest throughout the game makes the least mistakes. The Trojans have been excellent at that in both the Terra Linda and Montgomery game, and they'll need to do it again. Punt bounce. That is great focus by the punter, and the Trojans continue to not have anyone back. Oh my. That is excellently done, all the way down to the 1, and the Trojans are going to be staring in the shadows of their own goalpost. That is why you have a punt receiver back there, and Freitas has often done it. They may not be confident with anyone to really receive it. They've also gone nearly close to hitting a Trojan and causing a turnover, but I just don't think that's worth it when the American Canyon is doing an excellent job bending them back. Freitas, 156 kickoff return yards, including returning the opening kick for Petaluma to the house against El Molino last week. So they do dearly miss him in the special teams. And you just got to try to make sure to get out here. And they at least get out of their own goal line. Prieto is getting all the work so far. Expect to see some Derek Pomey as well. He's still a little nicked up though, but he was the featured power back early for the Trojans, 183 yards on 37 carries, including 2 touchdowns, good at the goal line. And it feels like Powers might need to air it out, and he was better with his arm last game. Here's a nice fake out wide, or a toss out wide, excuse me, and Pedersen gets to the 10. He's going to be just a yard short of the first, and that's why you get it out wide. We talked about Pedersen and what the wide receiver's been able to do with his athleticism, 69 rushing yards on 12 carries. He can absolutely break one. He's small and shifty, 5'7", 145. And without Freitas, he's really the guy that's going to need to try to break tackles. Trojans with some late shifts here, but they don't go no huddle like so many teams in college and NFL and now in high school. They'll huddle up and take their time. 2 minutes and counting left to go, and apparently it was too long because Coach Chris has come out and taken a timeout. Feels like a key play here, 3rd and 1 from the Trojans' own 10 in the shadow of their own goalpost. And you really want to get out here, especially in this field possession game, and at least pick up a couple first downs and give your offense some momentum as well. The Wolves are not a confident team either, coming in winless on the year, and if they can just get a big play, something they've done well of this year, it certainly feels like they have a shot at putting a devastating blow to a team that's not so confident. American Canyon coming in. I do have to apologize for this, but I think I have to show the sunset one more time. Look at that, folks. That is just picturesque. American Canyon, a hidden gem in the hills. And we'll be under the lights very soon here at the Wolves' beautiful, very large stadium. American Canyon Division 2, a little bigger than Petaluma. It is the toss out wide, and the ball is out. And we are going to wait a second. American Canyon has the football. They tossed to Dante Ratto. The junior's gotten more involved, but he lost the football. Jeffrey Brown with the recovery for American Canyon. And that was the last thing you wanted for Petaluma. It looked like Ratto had the first, but it got punched out. And that's the risk without Freitas out there. We've already seen it a lot. Ratto only 8 carries coming in, and most of it was in garbage time against El Molino. He's now being forced into playing a lot more. And a critical turnover, and the Wolves now can threaten. Trojans only 2 turnovers coming in, or 3, excuse me, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. Out wide, and not a lot to go for Gaviola, excuse me. Pedersen again with the tackle. And we'll see if the defense can once again hold up strong and at least force a field goal. That's a huge victory if you can. It's 2nd and goal from the 5. For a Petaluma defense that's done very well with goal line stands this year against Montgomery. Caught a turnover, caught an interception in the end zone. That was Freitas again. Did very well against Acalanes and helping that game stay closer with some goal line stands. There's some nice movement there. Eschenberg swinging around, but they give to Birdsong. And the Birds weren't singing his name that time. No pickup on the gain. Defense that has to be tired. They've been out there for a while. But Alexander, Sambita, Jaramillo, DeCarly so far doing an excellent job here. Clock running down on the first quarter. Still no score here. 40 seconds to go. Birdsong in the backfield.
35 at the 5.
Rolling out to the right is Eschenberg. Has a man, but the pass is low and incomplete. I'm sorry with this focusing
It will be fixed at the end of the quarter, I promise. But that is an incomplete pass. Eschenberg did not look comfortable at all with the arm. He was not even on varsity last year. They lost their starting quarterback and their coach, American Canyon, as we mentioned. And really, it was very tough transition in the offseason, losing their coach due to wanting to spend more time with his family, losing your leading quarterback, your leading running back, your leading wide receiver, and their leading tackler. Kind of just impossible. It's a pretty young team, and they are not kicking a field goal here. They have made all 3 field goals they've kicked this year, but they're going for it. Trustin Birdsong, nope, they're going to split it out wide. And he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Wolves. Looked like the Trojans had it well read, but sometimes speed is more important, and Gaviola there found the outside gap. Pomey was in tow, couldn't get there, and Havard couldn't get over in time either. And the Wolves strike first here after the fumble as they get on the board just before the end of the quarter. It's 6-0 as we await the extra point. Extra point up and good. It is 7-0. The Wolves lead. Turnover costly for Petaluma. This defense is playing well, but they're going to need some help from an offense that looks to be struggling immensely without their best player on the field. 19.5 left to go here in the first. It's American Canyon 7, Petaluma 0. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the offense does here and what Coach Chris, who's done such a great job with Petaluma, helped them improve, will do. Last year, the Trojans had to play a game without Tara Linda, but they had a lot against Tara Linda, but they had a lot more weapons. They actually put up 42 points. Jacob Ralston was big. As that ball bounces out of bounds, it'll be good field position for Petaluma, at least something they have not had yet in this game. They've been backed up inside their 20, so that helps a little bit with the offensive creativity. But that game, they had so many more weapons, so many more runners in the backfield, and Ralston and Turner, and they're all gone this year. You only have Freitas really returning at that running back position. We've seen a lot of Prieto. Be interesting to see if they involve Pedersen more. But Cole Powers, who's coming in 15 for 34, 213 yards, passed very well against El Molino. And Jacob Havard, it looks like they're going to re-kick this. Jacob Havard had 2 big catches, including a 39-yard touchdown. Looked like he could become a weapon. Hoggy made a catch as well. And Pedersen's had a couple catches out wide, so feels like the Trojans might need to air it out. It's not a great secondary for American Canyon. Statistically speaking, ball is bobbled by Butts. He's got great speed, breaks a tackle, and then a late flag coming in. Might be for a late hit. And the Trojans have benefited a lot from some of the other teams, especially against Montgomery. Saw a little bit against Tara Linda as well, just not being disciplined, and a lot of penalties. Trojans, though, didn't do a great job against El Molino, will be against the Wolves. Trojans did not do a good job against El Molino late in that game in garbage time with a lot of penalties. So they have 273 penalty yards on 33 penalties, but that's really enhanced by the large number they had late in that dominant victory over El Molino. Final score on that was 56-31. 21-7, both the victories over Montgomery in the season opener and the home opener against Tara Linda, and the loss 42-26 to Santa Rosa. They put up points in that game, but defense could not stop it. Prieto again to the right, and you just hope going up the middle that this defensive line is going to get tired and these 1 or 2 yard gains become 3 or 4 yards. But right now, they're not getting a lot. We have reached the end of one quarter here. American Canyon 7, Petaluma 0. Defense has been very good for the Trojans so far. They've certainly shown they can compete with this team, but they are going to need to find some answers on offense without Garrett Freitas, or this could be a long night for the offense. Start of the second quarter, we'll see if switching sides of the field can help out. Power's going to roll out, and he underthrew it. He had a man, too. Havard was wide open in the flat. Put some air on it, but there was just not enough air. I don't know if it was miscommunication or he underthrew it. Or whatever the case. An incompletion, and that doesn't give you confidence for Powers. has a good arm. It would be interesting if Hartman is healthy, and we saw him go out, but he has a terrific arm as well. If Coach Chris is not happy with the way Powers is throwing, bringing in Hartman more specifically to throw, and you don't think American Canyon is going to watch enough film to really know that Hartman's in there just to throw the football, or at least right away. There's a hole for really the first time up the middle as Prieto gets a first down, 11 yards on the carry, and that has to be a relief for the Trojans. 8.5 yards per rush. Prieto has been a horse of a back, a Trojan horse, you could say. But so far, this defensive line has really limited Petaluma. It's a bigger defensive line and an O-line that has also, similar defensive line, improved a lot over the course of the year, but they're pretty young. DeCarlo and Sabita the only returners. Again, no, I'm sorry, that's a terrific fake. Looked like Prieto, who was the centerpiece of the eye, but dotting the eye was Pedersen in the I form, and the Trojans will move the sticks, or no, they're going to be just short. Second and about 1, Biambini on the tackle. But this is more encouraging. No, they will move the sticks. My bad. More encouraging here for the Trojans to start moving the football up the field. And if you can open it up, the run a little bit more, at least get it going, that can open up the air as well and give Powers more confidence. Prieto in the backfield. Fakes. And look out. Oh, that's not a good decision. Petaluma's going to have to run after it. It's going to go out of bounds, but that was... Powers just hasn't looked comfortable because that was really panicked looking, and that was a backwards pass. Exceptional job by Pedersen to run after it and just knock the ball out of bounds, because if American Canyon gets on that, they run into the end zone. It's not intentional grounding. It's just a massive loss. And now they're way behind the line. Powers, very good on his feet. He's very agile. Made a couple nice throws rolling out. But there he needed to get rid of the football earlier. And by the time he tried, it was a horrible decision. He just needed to go down. They lose 20 yards on that. It's 2nd and 30. And right now, you might just want to punt. They take it, toss out wide, and brought down for a minimal gain. Is Ratto again, who fumbled his last carry, but Coach Chris needing the junior running back, who's athletic, to get something going. 3rd and 26, and considering it has looked a lot like a game of field position, you gotta be conservative here. 3rd and 26, and just one very unfortunate play there ruins this entire promising drive, the most promising out of the 3. Prieto up the middle will get a couple more, and they'll send Ayers and the punt team out with 10 minutes remaining left in the second. Oh, the sunset is just getting better behind me, and I know this isn't Sunset Magazine, but I might have to show you one more time. Hopefully the sun is not set, though, on this offensive attack. That was so good last week. We've seen nothing of that. 276 rushing yards per game coming in, but this is a different type of defensive line. They are seeing an American Canyon team that won 7 straight Solano leagues. That is a huge punt by Ayers. The ball will go into the end zone, though. That's a terrific punt. Nick Ayers is absolutely booming it with the right foot and helping out the special teams. Petaluma couldn't get back there to down it, so American Canyon will start at the 20. All right, let's get one last look. I promise, this is the last time. But enjoy it. Enjoy it. Vine Valley Athletic League opener for both teams. Historic game. Neither team has ever played each other, and obviously neither team has ever been in this brand spanking new league. Eschenberg fakes, and Ken, the defense, was ready for that. There's just a pile of white jerseys awaiting the quarterback there. Trojans will see Justin Sienna next week, again on the road, and then their home opener is going to be a tough one against the Vintage Crushers, the home league opener. Vintage really has to be the favorite coming in. American Canyon obviously struggled in non-league, but against a good schedule, 0-4. Napa also 0-4, but Vintage 2-2, 2 straight wins, including against a very good Bellarmine team. Vintage has some D1 players on that team. That's going to be a true challenge for the Trojans. But should be a lot of parity in this league. Toss out wide, and an excellent tackle again. Jacob Havard is flying all over the football right now on the defensive end. How about the effort by the linebacker, senior, who really hasn't done a huge amount on the defensive end. 3 tackles coming into the year, only had 8 tackles last year, did have an interception. He had a big game against Santa Rosa last year with 5 tackles, and he's having another big one here. His 3rd tackle for loss. He's already recovered a football. The outside linebacker with Pomey, that's one of the strengths of this defense. Whoa, a crazy toss, ball on the ground, Trojans got it. We've seen American Canyon try to look a little fancy tonight, and that cost them there. It's Pedersen who recovers it, and that is a huge gift for the Trojans. Wrapped up with a bow, and they badly needed that. And they are going to get great field position at the 15. Now you have to convert here with the offensive in prime position. Eschenberg faked it one way, trying to toss it to the right. The toss pass was a little behind the running back. And another turnover for the Wolves. Not that the defense forced that, but they've done a great job forcing turnovers. Prieto stumbling over some eager Wolves' hands, or paws, I should say, and a 5-yard pickup. Offensive line starting to move. A couple big defensive linemen, and yeah, they're big. I'm surprised there's not an earthquake when that guy runs off the field, but the 2nd and 4. This is a elite defensive line. American Canyon, we mentioned 7 years in a row that they either won outright the Solano County League or a league shares. Prieto will get the first down to the 5. And they've only been around for 8 years. There's only 1 year in their league history that they haven't won a league title. So this is a team that expects to win. Last year they made the 2nd round of the San Joaquin League. Obviously they're moved to NCS this year. That's why there's the whole league realignment. It's going to be 1st and goal for the Trojans. I'm not sure they'll win a league title this year with all their losses. We will see. Oh, a late toss. That's really dangerous. That was not a good decision. When you have that read option there, it's up to Powers, and he's got to be smart with it, but he throws it back to Ratto, who's already fumbled. He nearly dropped the ball there, and he loses a couple yards there. And Powers just has looked really bewildered, really uncomfortable on the field tonight. He's made some very poor decisions. There's been some miscommunication, and you don't know if it's the lack of Freitas or what, but he has not looked good tonight so far. Out in the flank, it's Ratto again, and they're going the wrong way. About 5 Wolves, all back of them, bring him down, and Trojans trying to get the junior class president involved, but it is not working out, and surprised they really went away from Prieto up the middle because he was making some movement. They've lost 5 yards on the last 2 plays, and suddenly you're at the 10, and it does feel like it has to be 4-down territory. The offense has not moved the football well. They got a gift from the American Canyon offense, and we saw American Canyon go for it on 4th. Points seem to be at a premium, and I don't think you're comfortable with Powers throwing the football. So we'll see how that approaches it. They are going to throw it. Powers rolling out. He can run. And he's going to pick up positive yardage near the goal line. All the way down to the 2. That was an excellent run by Powers. There did not look to be a lot of room there. But Powers scampered forward, trusts his blockers, and coming in with 86 yards with his legs, including 4 touchdowns, does a good job. A 4th and short. This is a huge play at the 2, and Petaluma has done a great job goal line offense. 4 touchdowns, and 3 of those are fakes by Power, faking up the middle and taking him himself. That is a customary play, and I don't know if the other teams have been watching any film, but they have not read onto it. So that would be something to watch here. But it's Prieto in the backfield. Huge play here, 4th and 2. And before that, we have whistles, and Coach Chris wants to talk it over. Second timeout used by the Trojans. They still have one in the bag. Not a bad one on this huge play. 5:22 left to go here in the first. This has homecoming nominees are being announced, but probably homecoming at the next game for American Canyon. But this game has moved very fast with everything on the ground, and if the Trojans can punch it in, you tie this game up the way the defense is playing, you feel like there's a good shot at sending this game at a tie game into the locker room. But whatever play you're going to run here, you don't want it to be too fancy, but you put everything out there. American Canyon's going to be aggressive. They vouched that on the defensive end to fill those gaps, and we saw that early with Petaluma really struggling, but they've done such a good job on the goal line, as we mentioned. 70 touchdowns on the season, but 14 of those on the ground. Prieto with 2. Freitas with 3 touchdowns. Pomey also with 2. Trojans rush to the line quickly. 10-man set. Power's going to take it himself. He leans, waiting for a signal. He's in! Touchdown, Trojans! What an effort by Cole Powers. It looked like at first he might not get there, but an extra effort as he was sitting on the pile, reaching the ball across the plane. An alert play from the senior quarterback, finally looking like a senior there, as he gets a huge 6 points for Petaluma, and they punch it in for 6 after the turnover. Daxton Hogya on for the all-important extra point. He hasn't missed one so far this year. Trojans 15 for 15 with extra points. Hogya with 13 of them was out in the first game, but boots that one through, and we're all nodded at 7. Now the nerves had to be in the stomachs of the Petaluma fans that have made the trip, but they punch it in. It is not a huge crowd, and I can't blame them. What a bus ride it was over here. Took about an hour and a half. IndyCar races going on. Traffic was a nightmare, to say the least, but we've got a small section of students over there that have put aside the traffic and the impatience and the other offerings of a Friday night, including some local celebrity that's in town back in Petaluma, to make it out here. And they see Petaluma tie the game up at 7. Turnovers have been something they have relied on all year. And Petaluma, if you win the turnover game, you have less penalties, and you just play smarter football, you're going to win the majority of your games, especially against 2 teams here that I think are very even and play football very similarly, pounding it up the middle. We've seen that so far. 5:16 left to go. Hogya to punt it away. And so far we've seen a lot of short kicks by Hogya. And some dangerous, though, returners and speed for American Canyon back as well. Big play possibility, but has given the Wolves really good field position, and they will boot it deep to an area of the field where there's no one, except it's going to go out of bounds. Oh, yes, it will. Thought about staying in bounds, but you try to kick it away from someone, but right now special teams have not been good kicking-wise, and this field possession is so important, and it means that American Canyon will get to start at the 35 once again. Neither team has gone the full field, both scoring their touchdowns on turnovers and getting it in the red zone. Birdsong has been pretty limited so far, even against some of the terrific teams that they have faced. Birdsong has done some damage, over 300 yards on the season, we mentioned, but this Trojan defensive line has grown up so quickly. There's the give to him, and you can see Alexander right in the middle, wrestling down. We talked to him after the El Molino game, and he's just come out of nowhere to become a force. 10 tackles already, was excellent against Montgomery, and he's really been excellent in every game. Never played football before that, if you can believe it, but his athleticism that he got from basketball, being the starting center on the basketball team this year and getting significant playing time last year, was at Cardinal Newman his underclassmen years when he transferred before his junior year, and he is factored right over, and it helps that he's a hulking monster as well. Eschenberg rolls out, only his second pass of the game, and I mean, there's no passing attack on this offense at all. Wide right, and he was wide open as well, rolling out. Junior quarterback has not looked comfortable. So a 3rd and long, exactly where the Trojans want them. Alexander, 6'4", 240. Yeah, look out. And he's one of the few players on that defensive line that can match the size of a very big American Canyon squad. Suns' last grips on the West Coast before it disappears for another day. And night descending here as we approach the end of this first half. Eschenberg forced to pass again. He airs it out. And the catch is made. The ball was underthrown, and sometimes when that happens, it will actually benefit the other team. Pedersen had good coverage, but Sayai stopped. It might have been a comeback route, but it looked more likely the ball was just underthrown by Eschenberg. Pedersen couldn't catch up back to it, and American Canyon gets a huge conversion and moves into Petaluma territory. Petaluma will get the ball to start the second half. Out to the right here, nice draw play, and they pick up 9 yards. Up the middle has not been working either for American Canyon, but out wide has looked a little better. Pad tick with the carry there. They have some options behind Birdsong, and especially because the Trojans have clearly been keying in on the best player, that has helped. Patterson with another tackle. Under 4 to go here, 2nd and 5. JV team fell earlier, ends their 3-game winning streak. Did score some points late, and they've had some outstanding performances. Mario Zarco, the running back, he's going to be a good player. He'll be on varsity by NCS. He leads the team in rushing. Birdsong wrestled down. Alexander again. My goodness. And Eli Gallaudet Freeman, the starting quarterback, as before today, had passed for 326 yards, and they had played very well in non-league after a tough opening loss to Montgomery, but just outmatched against American Canyon. And no freshman team this year. They're a lot younger, so it does make it hard, but head coach Nick Emanuel doing a great job there for the next version of Trojans, and this is still a young team, so they will have plenty returning next year in the second year of VVAL. But of course the focus is now 24 seniors on this team, 13 juniors. And there was a jump, but the question is, did American Canyon move first? The answer is no. Offsides, and a 3rd and 3 turns into a first down. That's a rare, silly mistake. That's a good hard count by Eschenberg. So the Wolves moving the ball into Trojan territory and threatening to try to take a lead here late in this first half. At the 29. Trojans have been putting 10 in the box too. That's been a big part of stopping this running defense. Can't trust the pass game. Eschenberg loading out, and the catch is made. Touchdown Wolves, what a play. They might not be able to keep 10 men in the box now, or they've got about 8 in there. One-on-one, out wide. And Eschenberg finally threw a dart right on target and a huge touchdown. Remember that big 3rd down conversion. Reed Cristobal on the coverage. Excellent job against Montgomery. Wasn't horrible coverage, but he was beat by just a step, the speedy senior. And American Canyon takes a 13-7 lead with 2:13 left. Extra point on coming. Still enough time for Petaluma to answer in an offense that will have a little bit more confidence. It is blocked. Remember that. That had no air on it on the kick. It's 13-7, but this game is very close. Remember that blocked extra point. Kickoff for the Wolves. Did want to correct my turnovers for the Trojans. They can have 6 turnovers, so a little bit more than I thought. And one key one today. This is a squibber. It's tough to handle. Derek Pomey doesn't wear gloves. He's a man, and he makes a great catch there, and it's good field position. Only one timeout, though, left for the Trojans. We'll see what the offense tries to do here. Putting up 22 points per game coming in. Total 339 yards per game. This is just a very different defense than El Molino. It's a deeper team for American Canyon. First time all year, I think, Petaluma has faced a team with more players on their roster, and it's only going to get, it won't get worse next week against Justin Siena, a Division IV school, but they're going to get Napa and Vintage. Both of those teams have over 50 players on the roster, 38 on the Trojans. I think it's about 45 for American Canyon. Similar size school to Casa Grande. Of course, the Trojans will see their league rival at the end of the year in the Egg Bowl. Give up the middle, and it's just been all Prieto. Picks up about a 5-yard. Clock will continue to run, but they are showing some urgency here. They're going to go no audible, and Powers will use the audible. No, he is stuffed there. Defense got back so quickly, Powers didn't have time to give it to Prieto or decide on the read option what he wanted to do with it. We haven't seen a lot of runs from Powers, but the key one at the goal line that helped them with the touchdown. And now it's 3rd and 7. Powers still yet to complete a pass today. Had a good-looking toss to Pedersen, but I think we have a false start first.
Looks to be a little shit on the Trojan.
An illegal shit, no, false start, yeah. So that's going to back them up 5 more and likely force them to pass. Hasn't been the most disciplined game for the Trojans, who've been very disciplined. The defense has definitely flown around. They've been energized. They've been into this. But you wonder, without Freitas, first league game, a lot of hype around school for Petaluma to enter into this Vine Valley League and be an increase in competition from an admittedly weak SCL. Maybe a little too energized. Powers rolling out, and he overthrew that. Had Prieto, not sure he would have been able to get there. Not a good-looking pass from Powers, and the Trojans will have to send out the punt squad with 1:13 left to go here in the first quarter, or excuse me, in the first half. Ayers has been terrific punting the football, averaging 36 yards on punting, but his 2 tonight have both been near 50. He has crushed them. The 6'2", 200-pound senior, one of the captains on this team. This is blocked, and American Canyon will recover the football all the way into the end zone. Touchdown. Well, that's the announcer's first there. Complimenting the punting game. There was not good blocking by the Trojans. Ayers didn't get it away, and that is a gut-wrenching blow to Petaluma there. Turnovers right now have been the difference. And what looked like would be a 7-point lead for American Canyon, probably deserved. They've been a little bit better. Suddenly turns into what is going to look like a 2-possession lead. And while Petaluma will get the ball back, they are not going to go to the locker room with a good taste in their mouth. Scoop and score. Good job by the Wolves being alert, too, after the block punt. Might not know what's going on, and they would have had the ball instead at the 30, but they run it back, and they're going to go for 2 to try to get that point back that they lost on the extra point just a moment ago. Birdsong in the backfield. Eschenberg under center. Man comes in motion, they'll give it to him. That's Gaviola, and he's in. 2 extra points, they get that point back, and it's 21-7. And the Wolves and their fans are feeling good. They have not won a game coming into this one, and they have a 14-point lead. And special teams right now, they back the Trojans up with field position, and they dearly, dearly cost them on the block punt. 1:05 left to go in the first half, 21-7, the Wolves lead. Well, we talked about last week on the live stream if you were tuning in. And we are going to get a score, Napa-Sonoma score, which I'm a little curious to hear from the PA announcer. So before I say that, we have another squibber. That's dangerous. Petaluma gets down on it. Good job by Hartman.
Sonoma 14, Napa 6.
Sonoma
1:32 left in the second quarter.
is bleeding Napa. That is shocking. That is absolutely shocking.
That's your Vine Valley Athletic League update.
Let's just give a little more context on that. Sonoma Valley has 22 players on their Division 4 team. This is a team that struggled. They're 1-3, not against good schools, and not big expectations against a Napa Grizzlies squad that has once been a powerhouse. They have over 50 players on their roster. Well, that is just amazing. Petaluma getting an opportunity here maybe to put up some points. Nice toss out wide to Ratto. He picks up the first down. They move the sticks. One timeout left, but nearly into Wolves territory. And not really sure why they didn't boot it deep, but at least maybe a chance for a field goal here for the Trojans. Well, anything can happen in this league. That proved it. I don't know if Sonoma will hold on, but that is crazy. A good fake there by Powers, but the Wolves weren't too fooled. Prieto only gets a couple, and this clock is running. They're not going to use a timeout. It's under 40. Now it's to 35, and you're going to have to air out the football if you want to get into field goal range. And now it's down to 30. This is likely just not going to be enough time. Powers will fake. Has a man, it's tipped, and it's intercepted. Look out! All the way back to the 30. They are not going to get him. Unbelievable. Wow. Everything in these last 2 minutes for Petaluma has gone wrong. And the score at the end of this half is not going to reflect the evenness of these two teams and how the defense is played.
Another Vine Valley score out of Justin Sienna. Casa Grande 14, Justin Sienna 12.
The other update, Casa leading Justin Sienna 14-12. That should be a tight one between two solid football squads. Trojans will see Justin Sienna next week, but my goodness. Powers with the pass out wide. It was really his best looking pass, as we're going to see American Canyon go for two. Bobbled, and they bring it all the way back. Birdsong has two more. It's 29-7. This place is going nuts. My goodness. 11.8 left, and the Trojans are not going to put the ball in the air. They're just going to want to run to the locker room right now. What a disaster in this last minute, and a team that has been so disciplined has had some misfortune. And everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Good pass by Powers, rolls out wide, but you do question, they let so much time off that clock, it really looked unrealistic that they were going to get anything, and that they should have just taken a knee and headed to the locker room, and instead pushing for maybe 7 points to tie it up. If nothing else, you go to the locker room down 14-7. It's been an even game, get the ball coming out, and suddenly they are trailing by 3 possessions.
Wax plate 6, WAW, 3x3.
Trojans will get the ball to start, but this is going to trust the two mentality of this team. Can they continue fighting? Can they continue to put up points? Can the defense continue to play outstanding football and limit Birdsong? Picked up at the 30. 8 seconds left, and definitely Coach Chris is not doing anything else except taking a knee. American Canyon is bouncing around, and the Trojans needed the locker room 10 minutes ago, but they're going to get it now. Petaluma has trailed against Montgomery, and that game did not go well in that first half, but they were only down 7 points. They trailed against Santa Rosa by 14 and then by 21, had a fumble early, and that kind of ended any hope in that one. They did get a couple more touchdowns, but haven't had to fight back from too much. They're just going to go up the middle, and if you're a Petaluma fan, you're not surprised the ball pops out and American Canyon brings it back into the end zone. We've reached the end of the first half. It was a first quarter and about 10 more minutes. That went about how Coach Chris would want it in the Vine Valley League opener. The last 2 minutes were the worst 2 minutes of Petaluma football this year. They are both going to head back to the locker room. American Cannon's going to get to go first. They are feeling a lot better right now. Well, the second half coming up next, we're also going to have the cheerleaders performance, so stay tuned. Score at the halftime once again, American Canyon 29, Petaluma 7. All right, we're ready for kick here of the second half. And down by 21 points for Petaluma. Everything went wrong in those last 2 minutes. Can they come back and win this game? Yes. Will it take a huge effort? Yes. But I think it's more right now. How do they at least respond to this? How do they come out of the locker room as they'll get it to 35 there on the Swipper? How do they come out of the locker room? How do they respond? Do they make this a game, be competitive, and at least hang around? This is a big deficit of 22 points to face, especially without Freitas, and Powers does not look good with his arm. There is not a lot of huge explosive plays. Prieto did go for 90 yards last week, and Derek Palmy had a big game, and Powers can run the football, so it's not that there's no big capabilities, but without Freitas, this is going to be very challenging for the Trojans to amount that points, but the defense has played excellent. You keep on going back to it. They have only had one drive where they've really allowed a touchdown. The first one off the fumble, and then obviously the block punt and the pick six. So first offensive play there. Still look like a little miscommunication on the read option as they give it to Prieto. Just a little bit late giving it to him, and might stop a little bit of that spark. And the other concern, I think, here, literally in the third here, is that American Canyon is rested, and felt like the Trojans did wear down the Wolves' defense a little bit, and Prieto was able to really plug away a lot better in that second quarter, get some yardage. They had a really good drive going early in the second before Cole Powers had that 20-yard loss. That is going nowhere. Prieto stopped in the backfield, and it's going to bring up a third and long. Overall, they've had offensively in the second quarter, they look better. They just have the turnovers. And that last drive, they were moving down the field too, which is why they passed the football and resulted in that pick six. It was almost that they were doing too well, and it cost. Powers fakes, has a man in the slot, and Havard dropped it and looks around confused. I think he was totally anticipating a hit there, and when the hit never came. Smart play by the Wolves not to get a potential roughing. It never came. He was surprised, but they had him in the slot, and he drops the football. Could they go for it at this point? If you want to win this game, it's going to become dire territory, but in your own territory, Ayers is going to have to punt it, but there did not look like a lot of energy out of that. American Canyon already gave them one gift with the turnover, and we talked about winning the turnover battle, and they're losing it 3-1 now, and obviously two of them resulted in touchdowns down to the 25. Another good punt by Ayers. When it hasn't been blocked, it's good. Reversing the field is Saya. He's one of the homecoming nominees. There's going to be holding here, and there's also a hurt Trojan. There's stuff all over the field. Finally chopped down the 45. The hold was about at the 40, but we have a Trojan down. And haven't seen Hartman out there, so injuries have really caused issues. I believe that was number 15 who was hurt for the Trojans. Don't have a number on that for you, but another injury here. It's a physical team, and there might have been a big block in the back that caused the issue there. That's Garrett Gehring, the 6'3", 170-pound senior. And he is now jogging off. Went down hard and was in some pain. Holding, there's two flags. The refs are still discussing everything. There's a hat on the ground. There was just all sorts of stuff on it. Kind of a crazy return there. And American Canyon should be back at about the 30 with 10:17 left. So Saya with that return though. Mentioned they had their homecoming announcements. They announced the top 3 for Homecoming Queen and Homecoming Queen, and then they've got their homecoming against tomorrow night. It's Fire and Ice. There's also a personal foul, so that is why Gehring was hurt. So that backs them up 15 more yards. It results in a 25-yard penalty, and look at the football at the 25. One of the worst field position for American Canyon, which was one of their advantages in the first half. They won the field position battle when it was really that, and they looked like they were going to go in the locker room leading 14-7. Very much based on that, and a couple big throws on their one drive that they were able to connect. A 30-yard touchdown throw and a conversion on 3rd and 15. Another pass from Eschenberg, who's wrapped up. That is what this defense has done. That's Pedersen again. He's flown over the field tonight. Can this defense stand up, keep the Trojans hanging around? Only getting to 2nd and 8 the score. 2nd and 8 the downs. Excuse me. Be interesting. Try to give you, if we do get a Vine Valley Athletic League score update. I'm fascinated to see how Sonoma can hold up in Memorial Stadium against Napa. That is a gorgeous stadium. Unfortunately, Petaluma didn't get there. Excellent tackle by Havard, and he had that drop. But defensively, he has been spectacular. Delisario, another one of that stable of backs for American Canyon. They've used almost all of them, and especially, we have a flag, especially because Birdsong has not been so effective. They've tried to go with others, but haven't really found much. They have one big run, and they turn the ball over in the red zone. So the Trojans will accept the penalty, so Wolves going the wrong way. 2nd and 18 now, and want to force Eschenberg to pass. His passes haven't been pretty. Trojans have 3 interceptions coming in. It feels like you need a play like that, and they should get some breaks, but often football doesn't work like that. But based on the breaks the Wolves got, and the Trojans have gotten a lot of breaks in the first 4 games of the season, that's resulted in that 3-1 record. The Wolves have absolutely not. They're 0-4. Granted, we talked about the wolf of a schedule that they played. We have more whistles and more flags, and this is what happened last week in the second half, but it was a blowout against El Molino. Teams just, that game took forever to finish Manly because of it. This one has moved quickly, but now it's 2nd and 22. This is where you might force something and things turn out wrong. That's what the Trojans did, forcing things a little bit too much when they were in it in that first half. And as much as I'm talking about it, your mentality has to be, you have to get it out of your mind. You can't think about what's happened, you just got to play football. And they can't be desperate right now in the 3rd quarter. There's plenty of time. Play calls can change in the 4th if needed. Eschenberg has time. Oh, he's got a speedy wide receiver. It's intercepted. Spectacular interception. He fumbled the football, and then Petaluma recovered it. My goodness gracious me. Trojans get the interception they needed. Eschenberg had Della Rosa, who's streaking down the sideline, very speedy. But Gianni Johnson, the defensive back for the Trojans, hasn't gotten any much of playing time, but he's in there. For Freitas made an excellent catch. The junior, his first interception of his career. Gianni Johnson, also an NCS long jumper. He's very athletic. He had 3 interceptions on JV last year. Showed it there. Excellent catch. But he fumbled the football, and Pomey had to recover it. That's just kind of been the night it's been, except Pomey, they would have fumbled it, and American Canyon would have returned it for a touchdown. And if that had happened, Coach Chris and the whole team might have walked off the field. Prieto, gets a 6-yard gain, and that's a good start to this drive. That's more we want to see. That's a big impact on just the whole downs and their play calling if they can get a big first down run. And Prieto, he's got to get tired. He's in there so much. We do see Pomey finally is that feature power back. Really been surprised not seeing more. No, he's a little bit nicked up, so they didn't want to play him as much, but they need him. Powers with a shifty fake. Now he tosses out to Pedersen. That was just kind of a wild-looking play, and Powers has not been comfortable running the football. Only has 1 run tonight. Pedersen picks up a few. It'll be 3rd and short, so we approach the 8-minute mark here in the 3rd. He's certainly shifty, though, Powers. We saw it in his run at the goal line. 3rd and about 2. Feels like a must score here. It's absolutely 4th down territory for Petaluma. If they can put one in the end zone, it's a 2-possession game. And for an American County team that has not had things go well, the pressure's back on them. It's Pomey. Oh, there's nowhere to, I'm sorry, Pareto, there's nowhere to go. That Pyle just did not move. He got right back to the line of scrimmage, and this brings up a huge 4th down. After the interception, Trojans' 4th interception of the year. Defense that stepped up, played so well, but they have to be tired. They need to convert this 4th down. It is just a necessity at this point. Oh, they're gonna pass the football here. Patterson not gonna get there. That's an interesting play call. Pareto moved the sticks on the first, trying to mix it up with the screens. Those worked well against El Molino last year. They go backwards, they turn over the ball on downs, and that hurts badly. And that might be okay if it's 14-7, but the Trojans got another chance there with a nice play. And American Candy chanting, I can believe they win, that their team certainly does. And if they can put one more score on the board right here, that feels like the gut punch to the Trojans, especially after they make a big play of their own. We wondered, so many players stepped up last week. Freitas wasn't in there. We said, you know, maybe there are other options to this Trojan offense than Garrett Freitas, as that's going to be a nice run all the way for a 1st down. Thomas with the 1st down to 11-yard scamper. But tonight, we have seen exactly why, as Howard makes the tackle again, he's been excellent. We've seen why Freitas is the X factor, why most people say he's the best running back in this Vine Valley Athletic League that has so many good players on it, including Birdsong. He's been totally limited. But having him out, and they didn't know if he was going to be out until late in this week, and there's somewhat been a look of a lack of preparation, that they haven't had options, but they're not as deep at that running back position they could afford when he was out last year, because they were so deep. They went 6 deep with running backs they trust. They go maybe 2 deep. Pedersen's officially a wide receiver. They've used him. Ratto a little, but he had a key fumble for the Trojans that gave American Canyon its 1st touchdown. 7 yards, and the Wolves starting to wear down this defense now as they enter Trojan territory. Under the lights here at American Canyon. The league opener for both. First time either of these schools have played against each other, and you can see why. It's a long drive. We have more whistles, and we have more laundry. So it was a false start on American Canyon. They go 5 yards back. Justin Sienna next week on the road, back home against Vintage. Trojans will have a much-needed bye with all his physicality and injuries. Then at Sonoma, we thought, oh, you know, that might be the one. Might not be as hard in a league with very good teams. Oh, this is a maul by Kenny Alexander as he throws Eschenberg back. That is a huge loss and kind of stops the momentum on this drive. Alexander has played terrific football, and the Trojans still fighting out there. They'll be home against Napa after Sonoma Valley, and who knows how good the Grizzlies team is, really. And then it wraps up the Egg Bowl. And I'll wait all year for that one on October 27th. 3 p.m. kick on a Saturday afternoon, the final league game of the season. Should be fun. Trojans bring the blitz here. Pedersen was there, and Birdsong is just going nowhere. Conservative play on 3rd and 13, though, is smart by the Wolves, and they will punt the football. Under 5 left to go here in the 3rd. NCS after that on the 2nd or the 3rd of November. Trojans come in ranked 8th in NCS Division 3. It's a much weaker division than last year when the Trojans were 12th with a team that was 8-2 and finished in the top 400 in California. Fell to Acalanes as the 12 seed, but a lot of those teams, including Acalanes, Rancho Cotati, Bishop O'Dowd, as we have a timeout by American Canyon. A lot of those teams have moved up to Division II, which is a much better division now. So the top of the division now, Division III, looks like Cardinal Newman. Eureka as well. How about Newman? They are undefeated so far. They have a huge test, though, coming in today. One of the powerhouses out of the Central Valley. I'm blanking on the name of the school, but that is they're going to have a test. Rancho, though, was also undefeated, so it's going to be fun. Those teams are getting together in a couple weeks. Both of those teams are elite. We thought they lost. They lost 2 terrific quarterbacks, but those powerhouses just continue to churn out yards. American Canyon has used a timeout on this 4th and 12. They don't want special teams issues. This jubilant homecoming crowd has had lots to celebrate, and they are singing loud and proud. We saw a lot of that in the second half last week in Petaluma as the Trojans rolled past El Molino. They do have to shut off the music for the punt. The student section is not appreciative of that. Trojans don't bring pressure, but they do have a man back. Not a surprise. It's Havard, and he's going to let it bounce, and we're going to see the same story over and over and over again. They're pinned back at the 20, and that just has to be so frustrating. This has been the definition of a frustrating game for the Trojans. The music's back on, the waving is back on, the band is joined in. This is why homecoming's fun. Trojans got to celebrate it last week. It was a really fun atmosphere at Ellison Field. Obviously, the new purple end zone in Ellison Field helped, and the home field advantage helps as well. Powers is going to fake. Now he tosses behind him, and that didn't make much of a difference. They still lose yardage. He nearly had a safety, but Powers with the read option with the tosses has just not made good decisions. He's looked confused. He's looked out of sorts. It looked like it's the first game of the season for a lot of this. Second quarter started to change things, but the momentum changed everything. Trojans backed up at their goal line and gained no yardage. They're at their own 4. They still only trail by 3 possessions, but right now it just feels like a mountain. Now, things can change in a hurry, but they're going to need to put together a drive. Going the wrong way. Not going to be a safety. He did gain enough yardage to 2 before he lost his momentum. American Canyon will be at Arnold Field next week against, I was rattled with the carry, by the way, against Sonoma Valley. I mean, that will be an interesting game, especially if Sonoma Valley pulls that out the game against Napa tonight. And then they're back home against Napa. Change, they have a whole new league schedule, playing Solano, playing Fairfield, Vacaville teams in the slot. It's intercepted. Pick 6. Touchdown, Wolves. Drop passes have been an issue tonight, and they continue. And said it, one more touchdown for American Canyon. It felt like a gut punch. If the Trojans could put together a drive, they could make us the game. That was the gut punch. 35-7 between two teams that have, I would say, pretty even talent levels. The line maybe a little better American Canyon. The skill players a little bit better for the Trojans, but American Canyon has everything go right. They've played smarter tonight. It's a Trojan team that's looked very frazzled, and everything's gone wrong, and it's just interesting because it's a lot of deja vu from last year. Not exactly the same. Trojans placed Annalee in their league opener. Turned out being the SCL championship game. Both teams did not lose another SCL game. And that's an ugly free kick. It skips off the bottom bar and goes in. 36-7, but that Annalee game, that went worse. First play of the game, Annalee throws an 80-yard touchdown pass. They were down 35-7. A similar score to now at halftime, and that game was just done very early. Different story here. Trojans hung around. They showed that they competed. I think they were very even with Annalee. Everything went wrong. We've just seen the same thing, and a lot of it's also the comforts of home. Trojans have played very, very good football, especially recently at home. I'd say last year and again this year, they played a lot better at Ellison Field. Or last year it was at Casa Grande with Ellison Field under renovation, but it really didn't look to make a difference. They didn't lose a game at home last year. They weren't challenged at home last year, granted against a good schedule. And this year they've looked very good at home. Terralunda was a really good team. The defense totally shut them down, and the offense was good enough. On the road, though, another story. Wolves to kick it away, 2:40 left to go here in the third quarter. And for the Trojans, it's a winnable game against Justin Siena next week. It's a good Division IV team. They had a good non-league team. They're 3-1 on the season. We'll see how they do against Casa tonight, who's winless. As a hard hit, Prieto out to the 41, and we're going to have a penalty. Your Coach Chris was furious. He took off his headset. There was some helmet to helmet there. Trojans are going to get some extra yardage there. American Canyon a little bit too excited. And you hate to see that. That was just more injuries that could rack up for the Trojans. The last thing you want to be healthy next week against Justin Siena. And that is going to be a huge game, kind of defining game for where the season goes next week. Had a good non-league game, kind of had an off game against Santa Rosa, but defensive line was just beat up. Santa Rosa was the better team in that game. Trojans have been the better team in all three games. They played above their years. In this game, everything's gone wrong. Now you in your second game, Justin Siena's, I think, similar to American Canyon. It's going to be even teams. Justin Siena, not as much of a powerhouse, but they have a lot of seniors returning. It's very experienced. They're going to air out the ball more, so it's going to be a different style of game, and we'll see if that benefits or hurts the Trojans, that they're playing more of a mirror image of themselves tonight. It was unintentional roughing, so the Trojans will go to the 41. That's interesting. I'm not sure why they're doing that, but DeCarly lines up. He's at the ball, and the rest of the line comes. Maybe a statement. I have no idea. American Canyon defense was certainly perplexed, if nothing else. DeCarly, the lead captain, delayed handoff. They faked it to Prieto, gave it to Pedersen, and the Wolves have looked a lot more ready for some of the trickery, the read option, the triple option, everything that Coach Chris has put at them. And they go the wrong way, a 1-yard loss, 2nd and 11. If the Trojans get a victory, I mean, they really assert themselves in VVL. They prove they can win. But if they lose next week, especially if it's not close, and then Vintage coming in, things could go downhill quickly. And in the end, that Casa game is going to be huge, as that is bobbled, and then poor Dominic Butts takes a huge hit. And the Trojans have had slippery hands tonight. They haven't been able to hold on to a football. Going the wrong way, and against Santa Rosa, the energy got left out of the balloon. They had a fumble near the goal line, which would have put the game back to a 14-point game. And if there was any energy left, it has been totally popped by that pick six. And, I mean, there's no way to win a football game. You have 2 pick sixes, you have a block punt, you have a turnover inside your own 20. And if the Trojans are playing El Molino or LC Allen, they might lose that game. I mean, you just can't do that. And there were concerns coming in of some mistakes by the Trojans, and they've kind of been vindicated tonight. And he felt so confident after the big El Molino game. Palmy up the middle, gets a few carries. You may as well go for it at this point. Back in Wolf territory. It is 4th and long, though. But air it out. Interesting if we'll see Hartman. I don't know if he's healthy, though. I haven't seen him in there, and he might not be healthy. Tony Mokel's the 3rd-string quarterback. That's also an option. Looks like it's going to be a punt here. Ayers is going to try to pin them back. And Hope Hartman is healthy as well. A key player in the secondary. Only a sophomore. He's so talented, though. And played well as quarterback. Ayers to boot it away. Fielding it on the run. Always look out when you get some speed, and that's what we're seeing here. Finally dragged down at the 40. There is a penalty marker on the field, so we might have holding. 15.7 left to go in the third quarter. Now would be an amazing time to show the sunset, but that appearance has long since passed. Vine Valley Athletic League League opener not going the way the Trojans hoped in this historic moment. Played in SCL for so long, and it's going to be a different brand of football. A penalty is declined. It was a legal motion on Petaluma, but a good return. makes Coach John Montante for American Canyon's first year looking like he's going to get his first win. Decline it, and Petaluma leaving its starters in there for now. I see Johnny Johnson, who had an interception earlier this half, but if the Trojans don't chip away, we should see some more reserves come in once again, and American Canyon is going to need to work on some of this motion. They have had a disaster of false starts here in the second half. Yeah, that might have been a bad omen for the Trojans, even though they had their backups in. That there were some issues on the O-line, there were some issues with communication, and they have reared their ugly head at points tonight with turnovers, with a lot of running plays, and Prieto is not at his customary 5 to 6 rushing yards that we saw against Terralunda, that we saw against El Molino, and yeah, it's a different defense. That's part of it. Birdsong trying to finally get a run. And that's his best run of the night. And that's something you do have to appreciate. They're wanting flags for a late hit. Running down the sideline is the American Canyon coach. But now there is a late flag flown. Shattuck forcing him out. Want to keep your cool on both sides. And well, it is, I believe, holding. It is. So the Wolves will go backwards again. Penalties are killing, and even the parents here are not too happy with the referees, but they are sitting pretty at a 29-point lead. Should be the last play of the third quarter. It was a pleasant afternoon. It was about 70 degrees here. It's cooled down to about 55, but mid-September it's still been pretty pleasant out here. Eschenberg under center. Man comes in motion, and he dropped the football. This could be Petaluma ball. Pomey got in there quick, but Eschenberg did come up with it. That ends a rather uneventful third quarter, but you felt like the Trojans were either going to respond or you were going to need a punch the other way. American Canyon holds up 4. My first 3 have gone very well for them, but you remember about 3 minutes make the difference, but a pick 6 kind of feels like it's ended things. We'll see how the Trojans respond. 1 more quarter to go here from American Canyon. It's the Wolves 36, the Trojans 7. 27-21 the score. Justin Sand and Casa Grande. Boy, does Casa want to win. 0-4 coming into today. It's just kind of crazy. They've had a mirror image last 3-4 seasons, losing every single game early. What a huge hit there. Trojans showing some energy. Birdsong going down hard. Ayers on the tackle for the Trojans. So 3rd and a mile. It's 19 due to all those penalties. The cheerleaders have been replaced by new ones, which are more students down behind me, and they're having plenty of fun in the student section. Eschenberg delayed a handoff. Another hard hit at the 40. And there is Hardman, number 3, so it is good to see he's back in there. He was out for a while. I guess they felt like he was healthy. He went down hard and was out for a while. Might have been concerned about a concussion, but it does seem to be all right, and the Wolves will punt the ball away. Casa Grande 0-5 to start the year last year, then won their last 4 games, went to NCS and won a game, beat Montgomery in a much weaker Division 2 than Division 3. They might not even made NCS if they were in D3 last year. Very similar the year before. They won an NCS game after a losing streak. Again, the Trojans put a returner back, and again, they don't field it. That was Howard again. Ball rolls to the 24. Stay tuned for interviews after the game. I can't say that they're going to be fun, but they will be there. And of course, if you missed them or missed any of this, you can always go back right here on the stream. We got the full game. We have all of the other games up. But again, I mentioned this on all of the games. Please do note that we will take games down Sunday evening. Games should be back up Thursday evening, Friday morning. All of them, but they are taken down over the course of the week. So other teams do not use that footage to scout, and they actually supply, Petaluma has to supply them with footage, and therefore it's a fair trade between both teams. There was an issue with that with Akalani's in NCS last year, and I'm just following instruction from the men above. Powers with the screen, and there was miscommunication there. I think he was looking for Pedersen, but Powers was trying a screen and Pedersen was running a go route. For a team that has been so skilled, they have not had tonight. Below me is the reason that America might be falling apart. Now, they've almost ended it. Every student had their phone out to film the cheerleader performance, and not to time to just destroy society, but you just wish that people could enjoy things without looking through their phone, but it's not that I can diss technology, because that's the only reason we're bringing this to you. There is Palmy, look out. He is a bruising runner all the way down to the 48. That is the biggest play of the game for the Trojans, a 20-yard run for Derek Palmy. Had a 40-yard run against Del Molino last week. Good to see him get involved. One of the team captain, he's a great leader. And it puts Petaluma in territory. So 27-21 now the score. They've tacked on a extra field goal in all 3 games of VVL action. Vintage is on a bye. Palmy up the middle. He's hit hard for a couple-yard gain. They're just having all sorts of fun with these cheerleaders. The pole's going to get in the way there, but there they are. They're having their fun at this new school. I mean, it is state-of-the-art. We've not going to be able to see it now. It's in the dark, but they've got a beautiful-looking pool to the left of the field. I mean, it looks terrific. And there is that score. That is just unbelievable. That would be one of the biggest upsets in high school football that I've ever heard of, if Sonoma can win that game. Powers has time. This is a good throw, and Havard has forgotten how to catch a football. I think everyone on Petaluma has. And again, you're anticipating that hit. You just gotta catch the ball and not think about anything else. It's you pass the ball, you catch the ball, you run the ball, you tackle. Vince Lombardi once said it. It's just that simple. And the Trojans are not catching the ball. Powers' passing has been iffy. 3rd and 8 now after that dropped ball, and it was a good pass. We have a late penalty on sportsmanlike. No, roughing the passer, excuse me. So Powers was knocked down late, didn't see that. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down, and the Trojans move the sticks. 9:18 left to go. It is not a big enough lead. It needs to be 30 points for a running clock, and it's 29. So there is no running clock, and it means it's going to be a long evening, but it does give Petaluma a chance. Try to get some of these communication issues worked out against a good defense, and they got all the starters out there for that reason. Again, Powers trying to pass is incomplete. His only passes that he's completed have gone for losses. And this has not been a good game passing-wise. Looking down the sideline, they had so many screens that work. They got blockers out, and Freitas is a big part of that. He was a big receiving factor in all 4 games Trojans have had. We saw it especially now Molino look like they were really more interested in doing it against a good Lions line. Freitas, 89 yards, and apparently American Canyon has just decided that they want to make Cole Powers' day as bad as possible. They roughed him again. That is unbelievable. There is some chastising going on the Wolves sideline. And the Trojans are marching down the field courtesy of penalties right now. Freitas, 89 yards, 7 catches. No touchdowns, though he had 1 called back against Montgomery from Powers to Freitas. That was absolutely spectacular. So Trojans on the 17 now. Powers fakes, and he is swallowed up. Rushing has not worked tonight. He has 86 yards coming in, but he hasn't been able to do anything. You can see it. The body language is not good from Powers right now, and it's hard to blame him. This has been a really frustrating night for him, and it is not going to be a fun, long bus ride back one bit, but you hope if you're a Trojan fan, this can motivate the team and really just turn them around. And sometimes you need that loss. I mean, I think the loss to Santa Rosa wasn't a horrible loss. Help wake up the team, fight through some more adversity. And you got that tonight. You were facing a team that I think you're pretty even with, and nothing went right. And they're going to be challenged against the Braves on the road again. In the whole league schedule, I mean, I don't think there's any breaks. Prieto up the middle, gets 6. And it's 2nd and 4. And if we get more updates on Sonoma-Napoli, you could be tuned. The biggest upset in high school football is brewing about 30 minutes north at Memorial Stadium. And a bummer that Petaluma, while both vintage and Napa don't, because Memorial Stadium is a gorgeous facility. It's actually a stadium. We call this Wolf Stadium. We call a lot of places stadiums, but it's actually a stadium. Full bowl all the way around. It is massive. It's really spectacular. Powers, did he fit that ball? And no, it comes out. There was in a window, very tight window there, trying to get it to Butts, senior wide receiver, but there was 3 men in coverage there. That was 3rd down, so that brings up 4th and 6, and again, you may as well go for it. 7:45 left to go. This hasn't really been a good drive for Petaluma, but penalties have helped, and now it looks like they are going to bring up the field goal. Out. Hagya has been very good with the foot. He has 1 field goal. It was against Santa Rosa. He made it. Cristobal, 1 for 2, when Hagya was out the first game of the season. Senior 5'11", 150-pound kicker has been good. For the Trojans, he was 33 for 35 PATs last year. Only actually had 1 field goal. That was against Acalanes, too. The Trojans will try to get to double digits. This is about 38 yards away. Has the distance, and it's right through the uprights. Nice kick by Hagya. There was a rather sarcastic "it's good" from the PA announcer, but the Trojans do put some points on the board. It's 36-10. It's a 26-point deficit. It's still a 4-possession deficit, and unless something changes rapidly, it's not looking good for Petaluma, but they have 4 turnovers on the night today and only 7 points, not off turnovers. If we weren't counting points off turnovers, the score would be 7-3. See if they try an onside or a squibber. Hagya issuing quick words to his huddle, and that could mean a quick snap. Frustrating night for the Trojans' first taste of the Vine Valley Athletic League, and all the other fall sports are starting to get a taste of it. Cross country, the only one that hasn't started league play yet. Hagya does get a swimmer ball on the ground, always dangerous, but American Canyon does a good job recovering it. Look at the ball at the 45, and now it's time to send the folks home to plenty of homecoming parties, I bet, here in this town of 15,000. They're already having the party basically in front of me. The pizza is half price, which was delicious, by the way. Again, the Trojan fans, you can see it a little closer, in Napa. This is the farthest drive, and I mean, that was really the huge negative the Trojans go into this. The farthest trip for the Trojans in SCL was Healdsburg, 45 minutes away. This was an hour 30 with traffic. And if there's no traffic, you maybe get there in about 50 minutes. Look out! 1 man to beat down the sideline. A juke move and he's in. Touchdown, American Canyon, as they continue to pour it on. Steven with the touchdown, and you can tell it's a big deal. The American Canyon girls next to me try to scream as loud as possible to hurt my ears. And the band plays. It's 42-10. Breakdown there defensively, but it's a defensive line that has played really well, and they just did not have enough tonight. So this drive about an hour, I was saying, without traffic, but Napa, all the Napa schools, so Justin, Siena, Vintage, and Napa are all right there, and all 4 schools are pretty close. It kind of makes sense for them to be in a league. Acosta and Petaluma both having to travel with traffic. It's going to be about an hour to all these places, especially on a Friday afternoon, but even if you're at rush hour at other times, heading to a basketball game on a Thursday or Wednesday night, baseball games, softball games might be a little better a little earlier in the day, but it is not a fun drive. It's curvy, it's windy, it's beautiful. But the drive is really lengthy for the Trojans. We unfortunately did not see a performance by the cheerleaders, but they're still into it. dancing around. They did get the pleasure of sitting next to a little bit of celebrity on the bus ride over in a homecoming queen, Savannah Engler. You see their team captain, Tiffany Heron, over there off competition season coming up in the winter. But Engler voted homecoming queen last week. Fellow McNair Falcon as well. It's a pleasure to at least spend the time in traffic and through the winding vineyards with a great person. It's recognized by the school, and it was a lot of fun at homecoming. Had the dance after the game. Of course, we live streamed that Friday game, so mention you can check all that out. It's a squibber, and it is Pedersen who's had an active night, brought down at the 37. He's battle hard. 7:23 left for business on this Friday night for Petaluma. Don't forget to like this video. You can also subscribe to the channel whenever we go live. Our next live stream will be against Vintage. You want to see the Trojans and the Crushers and that home field Ellison advantage. We'll be live a little bit before 7 from Brazil's patio at Ellison Field to check that out. It should be fun. And if you subscribe, when we go live, you'll get it. And of course, we have our daily morning announcements every morning. Oh my gosh! That is a horribly violent hit, and that is going to be, I mean, that should be targeting and you're kicked out of the game. Similar to college, and there's no ejections for hits in high school, but it's just, especially at this moment in the game, to just upend a player like that's not okay, especially Hartman, who looked like they were concerned about a concussion earlier. He's just entered the game. Power's worst game of his career is done. The American Canyon fans are booing, yet that was a vicious hit by a mean team. Coach Chris called a mean team, and they'd be aggressive, they certainly will, and it really paid off to their benefit. They have been still very undisciplined, though, so that's going to be something to work on, and you don't get a day off in the Vine Valley, and that's going to be the benefit. I mean, the competition is going to be good. There'll be way less league titles, but the competition will be good, and it will really benefit them in NCS for all the teams. Up the middle is Palmy, couple yards, and then pushed way backwards. Second and about 8, under 7 to go. The score, once again, American Canyon 43, Petaluma 10. American Canyon will go to 1-4 in the year, 1-0 in VVAL. Trojans will fall to 3-2, which equals their losses from last year. They had a 8-2 record last year, 4-1 in SCL, but they'll fall to 0-1 in the Vine Valley. Hartman had a terrific game last week against El Molino. Was really thoroughly impressed with how he did. And I'm sorry, quick snap. Hartman rolling out, and what a pass. Catch is made out of bounds by Tony Mokel. His first catch of his varsity career, and that is exactly why you wonder if, I mean, you just don't want a quarterback competition like last year with Cole Bowers, but the way he played tonight, I wouldn't be shocked, and Coach Chris proved last year with Justin Wolbert that he was not afraid to bring a change of quarterback to get some more action. That was an outstanding throw on the run by Hartman. Only had one completion, 1 for 2 for 14 yards, but ran the ball 4 rushes, 46, but just looked really dynamic. And he's very athletic. Oh, he's going all Houdini, and now he's got blockers. Hartman at the 30, and he stands up to that hit down at the 29. He's an excellent runner, and Powers, who hasn't looked comfortable running, Hartman looked a lot more comfortable in there. And you don't want to ask Coach Chris, and I don't think I'm going to dare do it, because I know what his answer is going to be. But we can think to ourselves, would the Trojans consider at least a little bit of Hartman next week and see how it goes? And you want a starting quarterback, you want someone to rely on, but it was this game last year against the Annalee that Cole Powers came in that second half and looked good, ran a good offense, and Wolbert had really struggled. And after that game, the Trojans used both quarterbacks in a shared role the rest of the year. There really was no starter. Wolbert normally took the first series, but they go back and forth, kind of similar to what we've seen with Alabama and Tungavaloa and Hertz. But with the 4-yard run on the halfback toss, Gabiola on the tackle. He has a touchdown tonight. He did a big game. Under 5 to go, and the running clock is now on with the 30-point lead, so we'll progress a little bit faster. Trojans trying to put a few more points up on the board. And they getting some more action for some more players, some backup O-linemen in there for the Trojans. Scott Crane, Mariano Harmamio, or he's normally a starter, but he's played well. There's another good pass from Hartman out wide, quickly wrestled down though, but an 8-yard pickup. Ryan Sullivan with the catch. Trojans getting some more action, the junior. And tall and lengthy, you can see. And I just have to be happy to see some catches made. The not caught the ball while Havard, who had an excellent first half, a really excellent game defensively, had a horrible game catching the football. Had a couple drops, then Pedersen had 2 pick sixes based on his bobbles. And obviously, I think that the one that changed the game completely at the end of the half with the Trojans driving, trying to maybe get some points, but they were down to 30 seconds left on the clock, as that's a short give given to Alioto for a couple yards. And we have an American Canyon player hurt with 4:15 left. But they were down 21-7. You'd had the block punt, and obviously disappointing to be down 2 possessions. They ran the football. They were really running the football well late in the second, got to the 50, but they were just taking so much time. They didn't use a timeout, and they tried to go out wide. The pass was a little high from Bowers. Beverson bottles it. Suddenly you bring it back to the end zone, and I mean, beyond frustration for that to happen, especially what had already happened in the game. Man in motion, Hartman fakes. He's got a man in the end zone. Oh, he just overthrew it. He had Mokel. Excellent route by backup quarterback and wide receiver Tony Mokel, who's getting some action. Had 2 catches, 7 yards. His JV split quarterback duties though with Justin Plumtree, and Hartman was on the freshman team. But 6'1", 160, and went to NCS for the triple jump and the long jump. Very athletic. Trojans got some athletic wide receivers, but it's all about catching the football, and that was something very concerned coming into the year. Relying on Isaiah Blomgren last year, the senior led the team in catching. Really, no one else did much. A couple running backs. I mean, they had 2 returning catches in their wide receivers corps. That's the miscommunication that we saw earlier, and just the O-line getting blown up. Trying to give it to Alioto was Hartman, and driven back. And they're going to give it to Hartman because he never got the ball out of his hands. They are heading the wrong way. It's 3rd and 10. And we're talking about the benefits, though, of playing in the Vine Valley Athletic League, and it's that NCS. Trojans really did not perform well in NCS in all their sports last year. Only had 2 victories in NCS and about 10 competitions. The boys lacrosse team won 1 game, and they really underperformed. They barely pulled it out in overtime. And the only other victory was the girls' soccer team, who was terrific all year long and played in an SCL that at the top was very good in soccer and didn't really have to deal with playing in a bad league. Hartman's screen pass, Gianni Johnson could not hold on. Good coverage. And it's 4th down. We'll see if they try another field goal or if Coach Chris goes for 7 here. The edge of the red zone. It looks like they're going to give Hagia's leg another try and tack on some more points. 3:03 remaining in the 4th. And especially for Petaluma football, they're gonna come into NCS playing teams that they were expecting, and they played Acalanes. They had only seen a team even close to the caliber of Acalanes with Annalee. And Annalee did not even get a home game in NCS. They were the 9th seed. Hagia's looking good. He boots it through again. It's about a similar range from where he kicked the first one. And it's 43-14. Hagia had a nice game tonight. The rest of the special teams can't say that. 3:03 remaining in the 4th. Trojans getting ready to kick it away. They've had back-to-back possessions with field goals. That time with Jack Hartman and a lot of the backups out there. All the sports teams should benefit from just greater competition. There's so many league pennants last year, like in baseball and softball, but they both lost in NCS. You would wish that you could learn from your mistakes, because the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and doing it wrong. And that's what they've done with kicking the ball out of bounds. That's the third time today. That has been a blemish. Oh no, again. Just to give you a little view of the band, they've got the kind of cheers in the front. They've taken off the plumes, but the conductor, the drum major, up there leading it. They've done a lot of things that, remind me of an Alabama football game. They got the dancers in front as well of the band, the $1 Million Band at Bama. But it's the Trojans who could think about cheering quarterbacks, not American Canyon. Eschenberg had 2 huge passes in the first half. He just goes down there. I think the ball's out. It is. Trojans are saying they have it. They do not. No, they do. Trojan football fumble. American Canyon sure made some mistakes tonight, but they've had things go right for them as well. Trojans trailing by 30. If hadn't allowed that touchdown in the third on that run, you think if they could score here, it'd make things a little bit more interesting. You would have a 10-point game. But onside, you never know, but trailing by 30, the reserves will remain in there. Hartman, Alioto behind him. Got Mokel split out to the right. Little and reverse. Hartman was gesturing like he was expecting someone to come and take the football from him, and it never came. Loss of 3 on the play. Volleyball team lost first round NCS. They should benefit. They got a stiff challenge from Vintage last night and fell in 5 sets. It was back and forth. They had a lead in the 5th set. And their one Achilles here has kind of been missed serves, and that helped. Nice victory over Napa, but missed serves were a concern. That cost them. Trojans did make the long trip here to American Canyon and got a nice 3-set straight set victory over the Wolves. Hartman finds Mokel out in the flat, and they'll get back to the original line of scrimmage in a couple more. Well, bring up about a 3rd and 8. 2 minutes to go. So the volleyball team 2-1, but every team's gonna have a loss. I mean, you think there's parity here. There's roughing the passer again. I mean, either the refs are seeing things, or American Canyon doesn't understand that you cannot hit the quarterback after they have released the football. You could 50 years ago, but concussions, you can't do that now. So the Trojans move the ball down to the 20, automatic first, the clock running down to 2 minutes to go. I mean, the volleyball team might have a few more losses in the league, and they can win the Vine Valley. Obviously, football, you only get to play every team once. There's a lot less games. There's a lot less room for error. But we're already seeing Sonoma and what they can do against Napa. I mean, you could very well see every team with a loss. That's rare in a league in football, but this is kind of the parity in this. And they've found, I think, a league that's a little bit more even, certainly compared to SCL. I think overall, I mean, Trojans won 9 SCL titles last year, and most teams had 1 or 2 stiff competition. Baseball and softball didn't really have anyone in the league that could even challenge them, and that's just not going to be the case in any sport at all. Football is one of the few sports where you really say it really put them at a disadvantage. The league is so good. In the end zone is again Mokel. No, it's not Mokel this time, but Hartman overthrew him. It was Gehring, the backup tight end to Ayers. And Hartman's certainly airing it out. It's a confident-looking pass from the sophomore, who did very well in freshman. American Canyon believes they will win. It's beyond that, but it allows the fans to leave the parking lot early here, up against the hills. It's all dark, but you can actually see Highway 101 kind of behind there. If you're driving into Vallejo, you get that lovely view, and American Canyon is just off to your left. Kind of a hidden gem, as we mentioned. Hartman's got pressure from the blind side, and he's wrestled down. Look out. So, are we going to get Dax and Augie? Yes, we are again. I mean, we might just have to talk to Dax after this game. He is just having fun kicking field goals out here. He's looked confident and good doing it. This one, I mean, all 3 have been about the same. This one is going to be about 38, and I think the first one was about 38. The second one might have been slightly closer. They are huddling up, but it looked like a change. We'll see what they try, but You're kicking so many field goals. Why not let Dax keep on doing his thing? Good to see Hug get healthy again as well. Was little issues early. Sorry for that poor filming, but he boots it through. They brought the pressure, stands in there calmly. Trojans would have wished that some players would have stayed in there calmly a little bit earlier in the game. Obviously, that punt kind of changed everything. So it's 43-16. Trojans have 9 points on field goals. They have 3 field goals in this game. That might be more they've had in this game than they've had in the last 2 years. I couldn't tell you the exact number of field goals they had 2 years ago, but they only had 1 last year. Hug is good and reliable, and in a tight game, especially low scoring, it could be a huge difference. With a flag, they've roughed the kicker. My gosh. I mean, I want to go down and talk to American Canyon that you cannot run into the kicker, you cannot run into the quarterback after the play. And it's lucky no one's gotten hurt, but it's just horribly undisciplined football, especially for a powerhouse. And I know they've been through a lot of transitions, and this is a big game, but ridiculous. Only 27.9 seconds is left, so American Canyon will just get to take a couple knees here, and that will wrap everything up. Petaluma's going to get to kick from the 30 because of the roughing the passer. How is the Trojans' crosstown rival doing? And Casa Grande looking for their first victory. The answer is a very tight one. 6 minutes to go in Petaluma, and it's Casa Grande leading 28-27. Ian McKissick is just punching in. So the 15-yard penalty, this is a bizarre sight here. Petaluma is kicking from the Wolves' territory. This is interesting, but you are allowed to do it because high school you kick from the 40, and college and NFL it's the 30, so you would never kick in your own territory unless I guess you had multiple penalties. I've never seen that before. August sends a squibber back. Will the ball go out of bounds? Yes, 4 times. So, in the end, it's a net yard of 10 on the kick. A couple updates on a couple more sports. How about the golf team? Girls golf. Thought they would have a more challenging schedule in VVL. They are mashing right now. They've already played everyone except for Sonoma and Napa in the league, all 6 other teams. So they're 4-0 currently. They'll have Sonoma next week, and then Napa in a few. They originally were going to play Napa in their league opener, but they had to move it back with some course issues. But Lily Catarazzoli, she has to be the best golfer in the Vine Valley Athletic League, and see what she can do in NCS this year. Her sister Sarah Jane got close to state, was never able to make it, but Catarazzoli certainly got a shot too, and get ready for American Canyon, take one final knee, and mercifully send the Trojans home. But the golf team looking like they could have the first Vine Valley League pennant for a Petaluma team. Cross-country team starts their season tomorrow, Viking Invitational. We're going to have some coverage of that, so check out the YouTube channel for that. And the tennis team, 0-1. They fought hard against Napa. They're young. But here on the football field, things did not start the way that they hoped in the Vine Valley Athletic League. On the homecoming night for American Canyon, it was festive, and it was fun for them. 43-16. And this was even for 3 quarters, but you look back at 2 minutes at the halftime, and that's the difference. The final whistle sounds. We'll have interviews coming up next, but the final score, American Canyon 43, Petaluma 16.
All right, we are here with Connor Pedersen after the Trojans' fall to American Canyon. Stats look pretty even. You guys were only outgamed by 20 yards, but things went very wrong late in that second quarter. What do you take away from this one?
I mean, we played our best. Just a lot of broken plays. I feel like a few plays go our way, and the game scores a lot different. So we just got to get healthy and come back for Justin Sienna, and we'll get a win.
Defense was flying around for a lot of this game, especially in the first half. You totally shut down American Canyon's star running back. What do you take away on the defensive end from your guys' effort tonight against a physical team?
I mean, we played our best defensive game all season. We shut them down. They had no answer for us, and like I said, just a few broken plays, and I mean, our defense just played great. We played amazing.
Last year, you guys had a pretty similar game against Annalee. Things just didn't go right, and you were able to respond there, and you went undefeated the rest in SCL. Obviously a harder league this year, but how do you make sure that the same thing happens with this team?
I mean, we just got to come out and practice and work hard, all right? Like, we come out, execute, and we just get a win.
Thank you so much, Connor.
Yeah.
Here with the head coach of the Varsity Trojan, Rick Christ, after the Trojans fall to the Wolves. And stats-wise, you guys were only outgained by 20 yards tonight. It looked pretty even out on the field except for a couple key plays. What do you take away from tonight?
Well, we just made too many big mistakes. Believe it or not, the score doesn't show it, but I thought we were actually a better team. We just made three horribly costly mistakes at the end of the half and put ourselves in a big hole. Offense probably gave them 28 points tonight, or 29 points. Other than that, our defense played great. We got to clean up a lot on the offense, and got to get healthy. We lost a lot of guys. We had a lot of cheap shots out there tonight, and we just unfortunately we didn't come out on the positive end of healthy players. So we lost some guys, and hopefully we can get healthy by next week.
Is there something specifically that you work on to limit those turnovers and the missed kick and the interceptions, or were they just more fluky plays that you turn on from?
Well, I would say the two pick six is a fluke. One of them just went through a receiver's hands, and they picked it off and ran it back, and the other one was just a little bit overthrown, but got it tipped up, and those two are flukes. We had a missed assignment on the punt block, and then we fumbled the ball down in their territory. So I mean, just those kind of mistakes just can't happen and to win a game. And we just got to clean those up. If we do, we have I think we can play with anybody in this league. So we just got to get it done.
Thank you so much. All right, that wraps things up here from Wolves Stadium here in American Canyon, California, as the Trojans fall. Final score of 44. We have small children running behind me. Final score of 44-19. All those late field goals, Daxton Hogya contributing on that. But it was an offensive performance that wasn't spectacular for the Trojans, and it really does need to be worked on. But I mentioned it in the stats specifically. 240 yards for American Canyon, 220 for Petaluma. It was pretty even. It looked pretty even out on that field. And that in that second half, a little hard to say. Trojans did look a little down. But in that first half, until those last 2 minutes, this was an even game between two good physical teams that like to run the ball and are very similar. And when things go wrong in a hurry, they go wrong. And we really saw that tonight. And Coach Chris said a lot of it was flukes. And we saw it last year against Annalee. They had some fluky plays, put them behind the 8 ball against the Tigers, and the teams were even enough that it was hard to come back. And last year, the Trojans turned it around. They played really well. They were motivated, and they need to do that. They're going to play a Justin Sienna team. It's really good. Every single game in this league, the Trojans can lose. Every single game they can win. And Sonoma Valley might have pulled off the upset of the century against Napa, but that just proves any team can beat any team on any night. And American Canyon defeats Petaluma tonight, and I happened to overhear Vice Principal Giovanni Napoli, who had a quick word with the American Canyon coach, who told Coach Christ, I'm sorry that this game should have been closer, but that's what happened. And also the injuries that Coach Chris mentioned, really banged up. They need Garrett Freitas back. The offense just didn't look at all like him without it. And it was a Wolves defense that stepped up and played well tonight, but it was an offense that really struggled. We'll see if Hartman gets any more looks at the quarterback position. Interesting to see. That will wrap it up. If you missed anything, full game right here on our YouTube channel. Games will remain up after the season is over forever, but only Thursdays through Sundays. During the season, we'll be back on the road next Friday. Trojans have a very key game, feels like a very key game to decide where the season goes against Justin Sienna. Kicks at 7. We'll have that game up by Saturday morning. That's going to do it. I'm Griffin Epstein. Final score against here tonight, American Canyon 44, Petaluma 19. Good night, everyone.